Hello and welcome, this is Mousegunner, and we're back with some more BattleTech and my continued look at the backer beta build and single-player skirmish mode found within. This video will be the last of the well-rounded builds I do at the war budget level of 25 million. The premise of the well-rounded build is that I have one scout mech, one preferably two frontline mechs, and one support mech, and the aim is to build the most effective lance that I possibly can at the budget that I'm working at. And I've already done two builds at this budget level. The first build was more evenly distributed. So the support, scout, and frontline mechs all were equally strong, more or less. There's two frontline mechs, so obviously more budget is going to be spent there. But I felt like the three roles were as strong as I could make them with what budget we were working with. The second video had more of a skew towards the support mech, so I had two support mechs rather than just one. That eliminated one of the frontline mechs, although I did have a very strong frontline mech to try and make up for that. And the scout mech was brought down a little bit to allow for that. In this case, I'm going to be putting more of a skew towards the frontline mech. So I have two expensive, strong frontline mechs, and as a result, I have a cheaper scout and a cheaper support mech. So the emphasis here is on the frontline mechs. The opponent I'll be facing will be the same opponent I faced in the second video, not the first video, because that video I tried out the enemy for the first time. I felt like it had some deficiencies, so I switched out the enemy. But ideally, I want to have the same opponent for all three of these videos for comparison's sake, just as I have the same map in all of these videos, again, for comparison's sake. With that all being said, let's go ahead and go over what mechs we have and why I chose them. I am a little bit below the budget that I have to work with, and there are some changes you can make if you want to this lineup, but I'm going to say why I chose the lineup I did. So starting off with the scout mech, a fairly cheap mech here, which is the Locust. It's not the standard variant of the Locust, it's the one with the LRM 5s. This is going to aid in the firepower for our main support mech, and that's the idea behind it. Now, the Locust does trade out durability to get that long-range firepower, so I'm really going to need to keep the Locust out of harm's way. The pilot I'm using is Kraken, and I'm using Kraken more for his gunnery skill than anything else, but he also has the sensor lock ability, which allows him to act as a scout as well. Unfortunately, he does not have as good of a tactic skill as a traditional scout, so we are losing out a little bit there, but I still think that Kraken can be an effective scout, at least used in the way that we're trying to use him as also a skirmisher as well. Moving on to our two frontline mechs, and this is where most of our emphasis is on. We have the Battlemaster, which is all about close range firepower. There is some long range firepower with the single PPC, but you have a number of medium lasers, I believe 6 in total, so that's pretty heavy firepower. We have two machine guns, which is going to be really close range firepower that we can also use in close combat if it comes to that. And we also have an SRM-6 to aid in our close range firepower. So really heavy firepower. We are going to have to deal with a lot of heat though. So as a result, for my pilot, I have Ozone here. Ozone has very high gut skill, which will allow me to combat the heat to some extent. We also have for his abilities evasive movement and bulwark. Bulwark is going to allow us to get guard if we stay stationary and also allow us to fire our weapons, which is really nice. And evasive movement is going to give us more evasion charges if we keep moving. The Battlemaster has decent maneuverability for an assault mech, so this may come into play, but that's going to be more or less max moving to be able to really take advantage of it, because just a little bit of movement, you're not going to really build up any evasion charges, so you're not going to really get a benefit from the evasive movement. You're going to really have to move to use this. But when we want to move, that's something that we can take advantage of. But really, we're aiming for the bulwark and the high guts skill. The high guts skill. The Orion is our other frontline mech. This is going to be a heavy mech, very well armored, and considering that the front line is all about tanking damage, that's going to be very good for us. But the Orion also has pretty effective firepower. Unfortunately, also going to struggle with heat though. So we have two medium lasers, an AC-10, an LRM-15, and an SRM-4, giving us pretty decent firepower. But the main strength of the Orion is going to be the durability. So for our pilot here, we have Buckshot. Again, high gut skill, because I just talked about how the Orion's going to struggle with heat, so anything that we can do to help with that is going to be nice. Buckshot is also going to give us the bulwark ability, so again, tanking damage is what this is all about. So if we can get the guarded status, which is going to reduce damage by 50%, that's going to be very good. And we can also fire in that turn that we have the guard status as long as we don't move. And then multi-target is going to allow us to target more than one opponent, which can be effective depending. I usually like to focus my firepower on a single opponent, making sure that we do damage until they're dead, but sometimes multi-target can pay off, especially if you have enemies at different range brackets. We do have an LRM-15, so we could be slinging that out and then using our close range firepower on somebody else. So that is something we can take advantage of. We're just going to have to keep heat in mind with the Orion. Finally, for our support mech, we have the Vindicator. The Vindicator is going to have pretty good armor, although using it as a support mech, we're really not going to care about that necessarily. But really, our main firepower is going to be the PPC. But we have, to back that up, a medium laser, a small laser, and an LRM-5, which is also going to aid us in the support role. So what we're going to be firing most of the time is our PPC and our LRM-5. The pilot I've chosen is Apex, which has a very important ability called Breaching Shot. If you fire only one weapon, you're going to remove any guard or cover that the opponent has. And as we have already discussed, guard and cover is going to reduce the damage that that opponent's going to take. So in those situations, we can do full damage. And considering that most of our firepower comes from our PPC, it's fairly easy, and we don't really have to give up too much to just continue to fire one weapon. So in that way, the Vindicator can be pretty effective for us as a support mech. We also have multi-target for the same reasons that the Orion has. So there are going to be situations where we can use longer range weapons on one opponent and closer range weapons on another. So that's something that can be used. Apex has very high gunnery skill, which is another thing that's going to be really important for us as far as the support role. Now, things that you can change up here, because we do have a little bit of budget left over. I could switch out a Centurion as a possible support mech here. The LRM-10 and the AC-10 can be effective long-range weapons. So this is one possible option for you, and that's technically possibly more damage as well on tap. And in that way, maybe go up a little bit with the Centurion. That's up to you. Another option you can have on the scout end of things is you can go up to a Commando if you so choose, and this is going to give you a little bit more damage at closer ranges. Which might be what you're looking for, but again, I want to have that added damage at long range that the Locust with the LRM-5s can give me to aid our Vindicator, because the Vindicator is not going to be as powerful as other support mechs you might be using at this budget level. All right, with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the match here. This is a pretty interesting build. Again, the emphasis here being on the frontline mechs. And the opponent that we'll be facing is actually going to challenge us quite a bit as far as that's concerned, because they're fairly durable mechs that is going to be able to tank our damage pretty effectively. So if they're able to work as a wrecking crew, they may be able to overwhelm our frontline mechs. And once that happens, we might not be able to recover. So it could be challenging for us. For now, I'm going to go ahead and move Kraken up as far as I can, getting in behind this rock here, hopefully allowing us to get our sensors in range of the enemy. Now, our enemy is fairly slow, so that is something that we can take advantage of quite a bit with our Locust, but we're ideally going to want to stay at range with the Locust when possible. I'm going to want to put the Vindicator in a position where we can get a direct line of sight. So I think this area up in the woods is going to be effective for us. And then I'm going to take my Battlemaster over into this corner of this woods here. And I'm going to take the Orion and put her in the other corner. And as I was saying, my opponent's fairly slow, so we might not actually get sensor contact this turn. We'll have to see. I'm hoping that we do, because we can start acting against our opponent right away, but it's possible we won't. So we're going to have to just dig in for next turn. Okay, yeah, we did not establish that. So instead, I'm just going to position my mechs to dig in. So we're going to put our Vindicator in a little bit more ideal position so that we can see the enemy. And then with Buckshot and Orion, we're just going to dig in and embrace. It's going to give us guard so that we can tank damage.
What are your orders, Skipper?
Unfortunately, you can't move and brace like you can in a normal turn, which is a little bit problematic. As far as the Locust goes, I actually don't necessarily have a problem moving the Locust out. And we can get in behind this rock here and at the same time move our sensors up quite a bit. Now, we are moving off to the one side, so if our opponent is over in this side, we won't really be seeing them, but I'm hoping by moving in behind this rock, we'll be breaking line of sight, and we'll be fine as far as that goes. And if it's not, then we can always break with the high speed that our Locust has to offer. Now, our two frontline mechs do have some abilities at range, so we will be able to take advantage of that. Usually, in the early turns like this, our Locust is going to be using sensor lock quite a bit. So, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and move into a position so that we can use our sensor lock. Now, we're not hiding in behind anything, so this could leave our Locust vulnerable, but I can't really get in behind anything where I am. I, of course, could stay where I am and probably sensor lock everything just fine, but I have no guarantee that where I am, I will be safe. Let's go ahead, before I make any of these moves, let's see what our opponent are. So we've got an assault mech here, we've got a heavy mech, and we've got a medium mech. At this point, we're not really in danger, so I am going to go ahead and reserve here. The reason I'm doing this is it's much better to sensor lock an opponent after they've moved rather than before, especially as you're going to be removing any evasion charges or anything that they have already built up. So here's their medium mech. That's going to be their hunchback. And we're definitely going to want to focus our fire on that hunchback because it's going to be a significant threat to us. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and move Kraken, and we can stay quite a bit further away with the Kraken, potentially not allowing them to get line of sight and still be able to effectively use our sensor lock, getting him within sensor range. So that'll be very good for us. Okay, let's go ahead and use that sensor lock now. And burn through those evasion charges. Okay. At this point, we've got a couple different mechs that can go. So we've got Apex and Buckshot here that can both go because we reserved. I think we'll burn through the last of the evasion charges with Buckshot, using the LRM-15 effectively. I think we're going to hold back the AC-10, although we could hit with this. And frankly, with as much ammo as we had, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and sling this because, yeah, we might run out of ammo through the course of the match, but with as much ammo as we have, I don't think it will be too much of a concern. So we'll just fire these off. It'll only build up a little bit of heat. We'll be fine with that. Luckily, we do hit with both weapons pretty nicely. Missed a little bit there, but that will burn through the last of the evasion charge, giving Apex a fairly good chance to now use the PPC. We're going to turn off the LRM-5. Although the LRM-5 has a lot better chance to hit here, the PPC is going to do a ton more damage. So at this point, I think we're a lot better off with that. So, and by doing this, we're going to be removing the guard, doing full damage. We're really hoping for a hit here, and we do manage to get it. In a nice location, too. Okay, now their assault mech is going to back off for some reason. All right. The AI could utilize this particular lance a little bit more effectively. If they worked together and all came together as a wrecking crew, they could possibly overwhelm my frontline mechs, but they seemingly have a hard time doing that sometimes. Okay, so our Battlemaster is pretty much going to do more or less the same thing that our Orion did, which is just open up with what firepower we have. I'm not going to use all of this firepower, though, because that seems a bit of a waste. But anything we can sling out that's not going to heat us up, I think is pretty fair to do. I don't know if I really want to sling a second medium laser, and the reason why I'm not sure about it is because this mech is going to have a hard time with heat, and we're going to want to have that heat happen at a time when our shots are going to count a little bit more. So I'm tempted to turn that off and just not have any heat build up. But you know what? We'll do this for now. We've got a fairly good chance to hit with the PPC. It will be only doing half damage, though. And we unfortunately missed with one of our medium lasers. As we did before, I'm going to reserve because their medium mech is going to go now, and we're going to want to counter that move. Okay, so
Standing by.
I'm going to go ahead and move Kraken into this area. Actually, I'm going to continue to move in this direction because keeping this mech back is going to be to our best advantage. We just have to make sure that our sensor ring is within range, which it appears that it is. I'm going to aim a little bit more like this so we can get in behind here. So in the next turn, it's possible that we'll be in a position that we no longer have to use our sensor lock and can start slinging with our LRM-5s. Okay, and then Apex is going to continue to fire just the single. I might actually want to move back a little bit. So anywhere that we can move where we still have direct line of sight, like so, might be effective for us. Because I don't want this... Well, you know what? I say that, we're probably better off just staying put right now. So we're going to fire the PPC. I'm a little bit worried that the Hunchback would run up and attack Apex, but I think the likelihood that the Hunchback will be able to get within line of sight of Apex is not particularly high. We can always move back later. So let's go ahead and fire off, do full damage. 95% chance to hit, so fairly good. And we're already destroying heat sinks. That's going to be very good. Now, the Hunchback is fairly heat efficient, so it's not going to be too much of a detriment, but that does mean that we've been focusing fire. Oh, that was on the leg. All right, so there must be heat sink in the leg. All right, so Buckshot is going to do some damage here. So we're going to be turning off the LRM-15 at this point, and instead sling some of our other weapons. So I think the medium lasers and the SRMs are what we're going to go with. Again, I'm going to save the AC-10 for a time where it can be more effective, and we're also saving the heat a bit for a time when we can be more effective. But an opportunity where we can do damage, we might as well. Ozone might not actually have a target here, depending on how line of sight works for us.
Skipper.
According to this, we have line of sight. So our PPC is going to still be effective at this range. I'm only going to fire the single medium laser, though. Okay, you managed to hit there. So the turn we want to do heavy damage is going to be the turn that the Hunchback comes in to attack us. So I'm going to reserve again so that we can hit the Hunchback with our long-range firepower. Okay, unfortunately hitting us with that AC-20, but because we have guard, that's going to be reduced by 50%. Now we can really open up on our opponent. So I'm going to move in behind this rock here
Position confirmed.
and start using our LRM-5s against the Hunchback. And this is the turn to do it because although you do have the cover,
Attacking from position.
it's possible the Hunchback will be able to get guard in a future turn. So this is the opportunity to do as much damage as we can.
Yes, Commander.
And cover is going to give a lot less of a defensive bonus. All right, we are going to want to stay where we are because anywhere else we move won't necessarily give us a direct line of sight. Yeah, so stay where I am. We are going to fire, I guess, all three of our weapons that are in range here. So that does mean that the Hunchback, if it could establish a line of sight to Apex, could hit us. I don't think it has, though, so I think we're okay. Okay, good hits there. And good damage. Now they are going to start being able to open up on me because the Hunchback has allowed the other mechs to have line of sight. This is why we're going to want to finish off. We don't want too many of those head hits. That's why we are going to want to finish off the Hunchback as more or less as quickly as we can.
Hey.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to turn on the AC-10 because we've got a good opportunity to do damage here. And we're going to fire away.
Okay.
Okay, good hit there. Managed to blow off that left torso. Unfortunately, that is not the torso section you normally want to hit with the Hunchback. Okay, continuing to go after my Battlemaster here. And that's a Battlemaster against me, so
Yep.
let's just go ahead and do as much damage as we possibly can here. So that's going to mean slinging a lot of medium lasers and SRM-6s. This is why we kept our heat down so that we can try and take this Hunchback out, because this is going to be devastating firepower that we're unleashing on the Hunchback. And as we can see, the center torso is exposed there. So if we can get some shots in there, that would be very nice. And I am going to do that with Kraken here in a second. I don't know if Kraken will be able to seal the kill here, but we'll at least try and do as much damage as we can.
Got it.
We did manage to knock our opponent down, which is going to be very good for us. It's going to allow Apex to have a really good opportunity to possibly knock the Hunchback out before he gets a chance to get back up. And that is fantastic because then that will break the line of sight and they'll have to establish it. So we're going to fire with all three weapons here again. We're going to aim for that center torso and we're going to see if we can get that kill.
Roger that.
And that's going to be it. That PPC is the one that needed to land, and it's the one that did land, so there we go. Deadhead Hunchback. So that's going to be very good for us, as that is a really big amount of damage potential that our opponent could have. So the Orion's going to have to spend its turn moving here and be a vulnerable target to us. It does have some evasion charges it managed to build up. Another head hit. That's real bad for us. Okay, so we're going to continue to open up here. Again, this is our opportunity to do as much damage as we possibly can. So, unfortunately, we are building up a lot of heat doing this. Ah, the important one missed. That's the AC-10. Hopefully, we will burn through some of these evasion charges. Now it's going to be Ozone's turn here. And we are very hot at this stage.
Damage is minor, Commander.
Okay, we're still managed to tank this all right. So at this point, obviously we can't keep slinging the PPC. That's too much heat. I'm going to probably have to turn off some of these medium lasers as well. Okay, we can sling that much. 4 medium lasers and an SRM-6 is not bad. Especially as I think that's even cooling us off a little bit, maybe. So let's go ahead and fire this stuff off, and hopefully we can get some good damage during this phase that the Orion is unprotected, more or less. Okay, so it's going to be the job of our support mechs to try and finish that off.
Receiving you.
We're going to go ahead and attack the Orion now. We've got 95% chance to hit.
Aye, aye.
Really good. This is not going to do devastating amounts of damage, though. I mean, these are just LRM-5s we're talking about. But it's something.
Standing by.
And then Apex is going to open up as well with all 3 weapons that we can hit with.
Affirmative.
Okay, now this is the Orion's chance to do something here. Going to move into the woods and open up on our Orion. So it's an Orion versus Orion tangle here. We've got Orion versus Orion and Battlemaster versus Battlemaster. It's going to be very interesting. So again, we're going to open up with the same weapons we attacked with the last time. Our chance to hit is, again, bad because the Orion managed to move quite well there and is now in cover, so it's going to be able to defend well against this as well.
Right.
Unfortunately, the AC-10, the one that really mattered, it missed. We might be able to knock the Orion down, though, which could be very effective for us. Our Battlemaster might not be in a good position to attack the Orion, but if not, then we'll attack the Battlemaster, and we'll just have our Battlemaster versus Battlemaster trade, as we mentioned. But I prefer to go after the Orion if I can.
Confirmed.
Looks like we can manage that. So, at this point, we are going to have to turn off another one of our medium lasers if we want to continue to fire here. The 3 medium lasers and an SRM-6. Will we be better off with 4 medium lasers? It looks like we will be, but SRM-6 is going to do pretty good damage for us. So I think we're going to stick with that and fire our way.
Affirmative.
I might want to start punching here in the near future so that we can do a little bit more damage.
Watch my heat.
I was really hoping for a knockdown there. Okay, our Orion continuing to get hit by that urban mech.
Ready for orders.
Okay, Kraken's going to have another shot at the Orion.
Confirmed.
And we're starting to weaken that armor, and we did get a knockdown. So with Apex, I'm going to aim for the torso section, trying to blow it off so that we can lose that arm and some of the firepower of that Orion. Going to be very effective.
Orders.
Fortunately, we do not have a direct line of sight. I'd rather do as much damage as I can, rather than only be able to sling an LRM-5. We can use multi-target here, though, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to use multi-target. This is going to be target number 1, and this is going to be target number 2. So they've already done the division here, so the LRM-5 is going to be target number 1, and the PPC is going to be against target number 2. And again, because we have breaching shot, we're going to get through the cover of both of these. So this is where multi-target is going to be very effective for us. So let's go ahead and fire.
Acknowledged. Multiple targets.
We didn't get the chance, though, to do the called shot. If you use multi-target, you lose the called shot. So that is the downside of what we did there. The upside, though, is that now the Orion is pretty much open to attack here. So we could try and finish it here with our Orion. And we're going to aim for that torso section and see if we can get that done. I'm going to heat myself up a bit here, but this is a really good chance to do a lot of damage. So, and we could knock off that section. So fortunately not... yeah, there we go. We got an ammo explosion that finished the deal for us. So that's going to reduce the damage that our opponent can do to us pretty significantly. As a matter of fact, it took out the AC-10 and a medium laser. Considering that the AC-10 is a good portion of the damage... Oh, and you're wasting focus fire, too, after losing your AC-10. Oh, you're gonna... Looks like gonna go for a punch. Well, I'm more than likely gonna punch myself, so...
I just realized
Good call.
I'm sitting on the fusion reactor.
I am going to have a possible opportunity here to flank that Orion, so could be good for me.
Yep.
All right, I'm very hot, so I'm thinking about coming in here and punching myself. So we're going to move in here. Our opponent may be able to get our back, but I don't think so. So that's what we're going to do.
Affirmative.
We're going to come in and punch because I want to cool myself off. But I still want to do good damage, and we've got the machine guns to follow this up with, too. So it's going to do extra damage as well. We may be able to knock that Orion down again. That Battlemaster is eventually going to run very hot, so...
I don't like how this is going.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he just shut down. So as I was mentioning, the AI tends to be very aggressive with this version of the game. So do we go for the shutdown mech or do we go for the Orion? I may be able to move into a position where I can take the back of the Orion, but it looks like I can't. I still think we go after the Orion here because I might be able to knock him down, and the Vindicator might be able to get a rear shot, especially with the use of jump jets. I'm going to move through the woods here, and we're going to sling some shots. The Battlemaster here might get away with the shutdown because I'm not going to target it. We'll see. But I'm going to sling the two LRM-5s here against their Orion, which is not in cover, so this is going to be full damage anything that hits. And we managed to get a knockdown as well, so we're going to be able to do called shots here on the downed Orion. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if I really do want to take the back of our opponent at this point. Now, our Orion is really taking damage here at this point. So...
Yes, Commander.
Oh, okay, so they did remove the arcs, it looks like. That's very interesting. I'm going to want to move in a direction, though, that I get a line of sight here established. Might even use multi-shot again this turn, so just going to move slightly. We're going to use the medium laser and the PPC against the Orion, and we're going to use our other firepower against the Battlemaster. So let's go ahead and use that multi-target. So you're going to be A, and you're going to be B. And B is going to be the LRM-5. So PPC medium laser against the Orion, LRM-5 against the Battlemaster. Fire away. Now again, we're losing the potential of the called shots here. But hey, we're doing damage to a shutdown Battlemaster, so you can't get too upset with that.
Yes, Commander.
Okay, so buckshot here. We could punch, and I would prefer to punch... okay, so this is a bug I noticed in a in the stream that I did recently when I was testing these builds, sometimes the game bugs out and it shows you a bunch of spaces that you can move to and still do the melee attack, but these are not valid spaces that you can move to, and when I click on the space, nothing happens. I do not want to give my back to this Battlemaster, though, so I don't think that this move is wise, even though it is going to result in me cooling off a bit. I'm actually really torn on this one, because I want to do damage here. I am really hot. The Battlemaster is just going to spend its turn starting up again. So the real problem is just the Urban Mech, which shouldn't be able to take my back. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do this melee strike.
If you say so.
Do some heavy damage here.
That
Looks like we managed to destroy a leg. Now the Orion's going to get its chance to get up here. More than likely at this stage it's going to counter with a melee attack against our Battlemaster appears.
I'm catching some serious shit here, Commander.
Okay, and our Battlemaster is going to respond in kind by punching, as we have a very high chance of punching, and we have the follow-up machine guns, and this will also cool us off. So we're going to go ahead and go for that.
I got you.
And hopefully we can get those machine gun shots on the center torso. And there we go, we got a kill.
Target's down.
That's why machine guns are so good, because they do bonus damage to internal structure, and we just created some internal structure. I mean, we cleared the way for the machine guns, is what I'm trying to say there.
Receiving you.
Okay, so now the Battlemaster has started back up. We're gonna move around into a position so that we can get over there and attack him. He does have guard up, so he's gonna reduce his damage, but that's okay. We've got plenty of shots with the LRM-5, so we're gonna continue to pepper. And once we're done with this opponent, all that's left is the Urban Mech, so which may not have even had line of sight.
Commander.
Okay, at this point, we should be able to hit the Battlemaster. I'm going to turn off the LRM-5 so we can do max damage. Okay. The Battlemaster is fairly fresh.
Standing by.
I am going to have to move here. And the Orion has already taken some pretty heavy damage, so we're going to open up with what we've got here, though. That Battlemaster may be able to overwhelm Buckshot.
I'm melting in
We'll have to see. I mean, it did take that turn cooling off. Yeah, the damage is starting to look not too great. That Urban Mech actually may be able to finish off if it gets really lucky, which frankly would be bad for me, but... So that was actually really bad for the AI, because the AI could have taken out our Orion and didn't. And it looks like the Battlemaster is going to shut down here again.
orders.
So I'm going to move into a position here to threaten both of the mechs here, hopefully drawing the fire of the Urban Mech. And I'm actually very tempted to go after the Urban Mech rather than the Battlemaster, because we might be able to do enough damage to cause it some issues. Now, unfortunately, we don't have necessarily a great chance to hit here, whereas we would against the Battlemaster, but I'm going to go for a max firepower here, and hopefully some of this stuff lands.
Copy that.
Okay, so I don't think that's going to stop the shot, unfortunately. Please don't hit the center torso. Yeah, see, that was just the exact right placement for that.
We're getting our ass.
Anything else, we would have been able to get out of there, but, you know, it happens.
Orders.
I'm not happy about it, obviously. We do have focus open to us. I'm not sure who we're going to use that against. There's no reason to continue to go after the urban mech at this stage, so I'm just going to open up on the Battlemaster
Roger.
as we have a higher chance to hit. And hopefully our Battlemaster can continue to hang here against their Battlemaster. At this stage, I am going to use the focus fire from Apex.
No retreat.
And I might even move up here a little bit as well, trying to get that medium laser in range. I might not actually be able to pull that off. All right, so we're fine if we stay where we are then. I'm going to turn on the LRM-5.
Copy that.
Maybe a little bit of a waste of the focus fire because we don't have a lot of firepower coming out here. And unfortunately, the PPC landed in a spot we really didn't want it to. Now, Battlemaster is going to back off and go into the water, cooling itself off, which, you know, is an okay move for it. Do we kill the urban mech here? We actually have a really good opportunity to do so.
Location confirmed.
So I'm going to sling as much firepower as I possibly can without overheating against this urban mech. So we're going to have to turn off the PPC and a couple of these medium lasers and fire away. We'll be able to get into the water next turn, so I'm not too worried about our heat. All right, we want to get some center torso hits if we can. Fortunately, a lot of that missed.
Keep an eye on my heat, Commander.
It looks like the urban mech's going to back off a bit, do some damage to us. Hitting us in the leg, I'd actually take that leg shot. I mean, yeah, they might be able to take me out, but... Okay, because the urban mech moved, it's actually very vulnerable right now. So we're going to move up a bit. Yeah, I'm going to move over here, so I have a direct line of sight. We shouldn't be viewable to any of our enemy. And we're going to open up on the urban mech looking for a kill. It's going to be our LRMs, but it's got no defenses, so if we get some good hits here, we might be able to take him out. Maybe. Not quite. I think with Apex,
Standing by.
we have a chance to multi-target here. So I'm going to go with the PPC against the Battlemaster. And the LRM-5 against the urban mech. This way we'll go through the defenses of the Battlemaster doing the damage. Granted, we hit, which we did. And hopefully we get lucky with these LRM-5s and they hit center torso. Some of them may have. Okay, here comes their Battlemaster. Pretty heavy damage there. Okay, I'm going to have to move into the water. I have really no other choice.
Confirmed.
And I'm going to try and work against... Might get my rear here if I do this. But I don't see any other move. I want to get as much of an evasion as we can up.
I'm there.
And I'm going to do what I need to do to kill this urban mech. So we can get away with this firepower. We can still get rid of the... Yeah, okay. So that's going to be the point where we overheat. This is going to be really heavy firepower. This should kill this urban mech. There's no way that I see it surviving unless we get just so unlucky with misses here. Yeah.
Enemy eliminated.
All right, so the question is, can the Battlemaster
My
hang?
heat gauge is getting pretty high.
Unfortunately, we lost line of sight.
I'm here.
But I can keep moving around here, and we'll use our sensor lock to establish the line of sight against the Battlemaster. This will allow Apex to continue to hammer away on our opponent. I'm not actually sure, though, if we lose the Battlemaster, if we have enough firepower to take out the enemy Battlemaster.
Yes, Commander.
At this stage, we might as well fire both the LRM-5 and the PPC here.
Roger that.
As long as we consistently land the PPC, that will be good for us. Okay, he probably will establish guard here, although he is very hot at this point. Okay, that hurt. A lot.
Armor breach. Internal damage.
I expect a shutdown here. Wow.
I'm hit. Oh, I'm hit. Oh, Commander. I'm hit.
I can't believe he just fired through a mountain. The AI just fired through a mountain to hit me. Okay, so that is a bug right there that we've just seen. There is no way in hell that Battlemaster saw my locust. That was a complete and total bug. I've seen this before, but nothing that egregious. So just take what happened there and realize that that's not physically possible, what just happened there. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move ourselves into a position to punish the shutdown mech. Granted, we lost a lot of our firepower there in the last turn. That was total bullcrap there, but we're just going to have to live with it. I have no percentage chance of hitting this arm. Let's go for the torso section. I cannot believe I'm missing some of these shots too. So this match just turned against me because of that, more or less. Because what firepower we had has just been taken away from me, more or less, and I can't even get in on his back to make him pay for it, too. That sucks. Well, I'll be able to do some good damage here, and we might be able to get in behind him in the future, and this also gives us a good evasion charge as well. But I just can't believe that that happened. You can go after the arm, trying to knock it out. Let's go ahead with that. Okay, that worked. That's going to take some of the firepower away from the Battlemaster. Maybe, I don't actually know if there's anything in that arm. No, okay, so there's nothing in that arm. So now we have to stand up, something we shouldn't have had to do in the first place. Well, if he's just going to be able to hit me again, then I'm pretty much hosed, aren't I? We're going to try and move away from him here.
I copy.
But notice how I have an indirect line of sight to him? That's because it's not physically possible to see somebody through a mountain. Alright, well, we'll fire the one LRM-5 that we have left. Oops, I didn't mean to go for... it doesn't matter.
I copy.
Such bullcrap. Alright, he's gonna power back up. We're gonna try and get in behind him with our... with our mech, but unfortunately we just don't have enough maneuverability to do that.
You got it.
But we're going to continue to fire everything we've got at him, doing as much damage as we can.
I'm on him.
And we will be able to get in behind, I think, here, eventually.
Commander.
So, Kraken is going to continue to move around the mountain here. But again, if he can just shoot through it, then we're going to be dead.
My mech is limping.
It's an extremely frustrating bug, and I'm going to have to write to the developers about that. The first time it happened, it wasn't this bad, but this time it happens. This is terrible. I'm sure that is a bug. There's no way that they intended that kind of thing to happen. And if they did, oof, I don't know what they're thinking with that.
Move order confirmed.
Okay, so if we move here, we should be able to unload on this guy's back. That is fresh armor, though, because we have never attacked him in the rear section before. We are going to also be drawing a lot of heat here, so I will turn off the medium laser, and we'll hit him with everything else.
The angle. Taking the shot. Scored
They managed to get a crit there. Okay, looks like he's going to go in for a punch, which is going to do heavy damage to us.
That shot got through my armor.
Here comes the machine guns. They are still going to do heavy damage to us.
My turtles are taking a beating.
Okay.
Orders.
At this point, we can focus and punch him, although we have a 95% chance to hit him anyway. We could back off and unload into him with, again, the focus turned on. So I think we've got good firepower here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to focus.
Oh, hell yes.
And we're going to use our weapons rather than our fists here. Ugh. Maybe. I mean, I still want to use the focus fire, I think. I can't get far enough away to make the PPC effective. We still have 3 medium lasers, though, which is going to be good firepower. I think we do more damage at this range, and I'm even thinking about using the PPCs regardless of how far away we can get.
10-4.
So we're going to go for this. Hopefully we can do enough damage here to make it count. Of course, the PPC misses. Okay, we got through a heat sink. I don't think our Battlemaster's surviving here, unfortunately.
Standing by.
So normally we'd be doing twice the damage we're doing now, but that's just the way things are right now.
On enemy stick.
Okay.
Awaiting orders.
Apex is not going to be able to get into a position to get in behind, so we're just going to move into a position where we might be able to do some good damage. And have a possibility of maybe being able to get in behind at a future point. We should go ahead and fire these 2 off.
Firing on target.
Okay. Gonna use focus on us. Where are you going? Okay, that's gonna be a kill. No, not quite. Okay, we're still with it. You gotta be joking me. That's twice in a row, really? Again, this is a mountain right here.
Confirm.
All right, well, I'm going to continue to back off here and try and use our PPC. We've got a good opportunity here. He's got no defense.
Firing.
There we go. That's going to take some of the firepower away from him. Just machine guns, though, honestly.
Ready for orders.
Okay, Kraken's going to move around.
Position confirmed.
We only have 5 more turns of LRM fire left.
Confirmed. Fire.
Okay, we managed to take out the right torso, which is going to strip even more of his weapons so that he won't be able to also fire behind himself, too. Let's also point that out. He fired directly behind himself.
Commander.
So again, let's look here. I don't have line of sight, so that's not physically possible for me to do. Okay, just get into this position. We can get a rear attack here. We should be able to do good damage against that rear section. Medium laser on.
Firing at enemy 6.
All right, so this is going to be telling of whether or not our... Did he just get another focus fire, too? Like, right after, one after another?
Maintain stability.
All right, well, amazingly, our Battlemaster is still alive. So we should be able to do something here.
Yep.
We're just going to stand up.
Reporting. Enemy contact.
And I think we just stay here and we fire.
Regained footing.
Don't have as good of a chance to hit here, but... Okay, another torso section gone. So the Battlemaster has no weapons at this point.
Commander.
We're going to continue to move the Kraken in a way that maybe we can get into a position to get in behind at some point. A little bit easier if we had our other leg. But again, if he fires out of arc and through rocks again, you know, I can't really guarantee that any of my mechs are safe. Although he doesn't have any weapons, so I guess that's not physically possible at this point.
Yes, Commander.
Okay, so Apex should have another attack on the rear. I'm going to use focus here to... Well, we don't need to use focus, so we'll just use what we've got here. I'm going to take some heat, but I think the damage is important.
Rear armor it is.
Oh, of course we use our high damage on the on the leg there.
My mech's heating up.
All right, so I don't think he actually has the ability to.
Confirmed.
Why can't I move? According to this, I can't move. I mean, I don't know if that's an effect of my leg being blown off, but I literally cannot move. Okay, then. I'm going to assume that's a bug, too. I mean, I know the leg damage reduces your
I'm here.
ability to move, but down to nothing? That seems a little weird. It could be the water we're in is affecting us as well, but... Alright, so we're having the match drawn out here unnecessarily, unfortunately. Go ahead and sensor lock him up. And unfortunately, the only mech that can do damage at this point is really hot, so... Move over this way, and we'll fire off our LRM-5 in the rear. It's only a LRM-5, though, so it's not going to do massive amounts of damage here. But it will cool us off for another turn. I mean, this is pretty much a done deal.
Orders.
Looks like we have that line of sight, so now I'm going to use focus here.
It's go time.
And we're going to open up with what weapons we have. This should deal the killer blow, I'm hoping. Or not. But we're getting there.
Orders.
I'm so confident we're going to kill this guy that I'm going to go ahead and move in to use my locust. But at this point, this whole match has been kind of a bit of a mess, so...
Confirmed.
And honestly, this is the first time I've seen it be this bad. As I said, I've seen the attack through, you know, an area that you can't get line of sight before, but this was real bad. All right, let's jump here so that we can get our line of sight going, and we're going to go for broke for a kill here. This is meaning that we're going to have some problems with heat. Let's just turn off the LRM-5, though.
Engaging target.
And of course, we knock out the leg. Ugh. All right. He's going to get back up. Now, I wonder if he can move with a busted leg. Maybe not.
Yep.
Now we'll be able to open up on him again. There we go. Ugh, it took a while, but we got it.
Target down.
Mission successful.
All right, so I clearly have something to send the devs away because that was real bad. So now we not only saw the Battlemaster fire through rocks without line of sight, it also fired behind itself out of arc in the same match. So clearly bad. Otherwise, you know, the match went, you know, normally, smoothly until that end stage. And it was really at that very end when we more or less had the match won. Our only real problem was the Orion getting knocked out. Now, I think that that was kind of bad luck because the AI was able to focus in that fire into the center torso. But that kind of thing happens. Sometimes you just have the locations of the damage just go against you. If it had been more spread out, well, we would have saw what happened with that Battlemaster where it took like a year to kill him, even though he had no weapon systems on him at all. And we'd really, I mean, in that case, we had spread out the damage perfectly. We took an arm off, we took another arm off, we took off a torso section. We pretty much killed him by inches. Whereas the Orion, it was, you know, a lot more focused in. So that kind of worked against us. Otherwise, if we had a little bit better luck, the Orion would have been able to tank damage. It would have been able to do damage to specifically the Battlemaster, which would have quickened the match significantly, so a little bit better luck that would have happened. The damage that happened to our Locust we can ignore because it wasn't physically possible that could have happened. The Battlemaster took very heavy damage. That actually didn't surprise me. After the Orion got knocked out, I knew that the Battlemaster would have to tangle with the other Battlemaster one-on-one, and it had already taken damage, whereas the other Battlemaster was fresh, so there's that. But at the same time, the Locust would have been doing more damage if it hadn't gotten that, impossible shot against it. So, there's things each way. I guess we were lucky the Locust didn't get killed there because the Locust don't, specifically that variant of Locust doesn't have very good armor, so it could have died if the shots had landed in a little bit worse spot for us. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video outside of its problems. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.